Freshly pressed on Smooth 98.1.
Smooth 98.1, love music, love life. Thank you for tuning in and joining us for today's edition of Freshly Pressed 981. I am Ayo Myro Essay. It's a Wednesday morning, 8th of September 2021, 7:30 a.m. Ayo Myro Essay and Valentine Ogu on this morning's show. Joining us to analyze the news stories, we have Devo Okorie. Good morning, Devo. How are you today?
Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, why cool have you been vaccinated?
Have you been vaccinated? All right. You can answer that question and respond to our other news stories by sending your message to our WhatsApp platform. WhatsApp is 0809 444 0981. That's 0809 444 0981. You can also head on to our YouTube channel. YouTube is youtube.com and search for Smooth 981 FM Lagos on there to share your thoughts with us and express your opinions on our news headline stories. I'll read through very quickly the headline stories we're going to be looking at today, or the headlines we're going to be looking at today. From the Punch newspaper, Buhari warned service chiefs as Katsina Kaduna bandits abduct 26. In this day, we have the Masari with hindsight. Sorry, he says we should never have negotiated with bandits. Interesting. Guardian has this one. You misinterpreted facts on 20 billion naira loan, Bello tells EFCC. This day, Chidoka, former aviation minister, challenges Buhari to publish performance evaluation report of sacked ministers. In The Guardian, we have on COVID-19, an NPHCDA explains breakthrough infection in vaccinated people in Nigeria.
Right, and Guardian also has this one. Federal government authorizes only security agencies to vet incriminating SIM cards. Premium Times special report: Kano, Akwa Ibom, 8 other states housed most of Nigeria's out-of-school children, and OAU dismisses lecture over sexual harassment of students. Devo, let's start with this first one. Buhari warned service chiefs as Katsina Kaduna bandits abduct 26. The gunmen said they were said to, or suspected gunmen to be bandits, um, struck again in Katsina and Kaduna states, abducting these 26 persons, including women and children. And among those kidnapped on Tuesday were 3 children of the deputy provost of the Isa Keita College of Education, Dr. Ismaila Funtua. What are your thoughts on this, please? Oh, and also a retired director of the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC.
Yes, a few key names of those who were on the what would I call it, abduction list. But this is, as we all know, security has been at the top of the list of the major challenges that the country is facing. And at this point, it's safe to say that there is a sporadic breakdown of insecurity, especially within the north, east, and northwest. Um, Practically every other day now, we have new reports from one location to the other, of which the country as a whole, the government, in this case the president, taking different actions to be able to resolve. So here again, the service chiefs met with the president yesterday to be able to review the situation. And as the IG was responding after the meeting, that the president, in sitting with them, charged the security chiefs to marshal out new tactics, to devise new tactics to be able to address the spate of abductions and killings, okay, that have been taking place. Now, this followed another recent abductions in 2 locations. I was in Castina and also Kaduna, of about 26 people, including women and children. Now, in Castina, of note, like you mentioned, 3 children of the deputy provost were abducted alongside. They went to the College of Education in Isa Keita College of Education. While he wasn't there, the children were abducted alongside a few others. And in Kaduna, around the same location, the children of no, the retired Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation director and his child were abducted alongside. Now, these were in 2 separate locations, both in Kaduna. Now, in Castina. Now, another set of 18 persons were hijacked and abducted in Chikun local government in Kaduna. Now, I know, I mean, it sounds like almost we're playing the same tape over and over because what we keep hearing kidnaps, abductions,
Yeah.
raids, attacks. You kind of lose counts, and there's really no gainsaying in pointing out anyone who is notable because no one's life is more important than the other.
But also points to the reality that we
Yes.
saw coming. The fact that before there used to be people who were not known, or were
Unknown
not
unknown
prominent.
persons, unknown
Yes.
citizens,
And
and
now
now it's
getting
coming
very
home.
close.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
coming home. The rooster's coming home. Now it's also seeming like the same cycle, and in this same cycle, after the abduction of some certain people, the bandits, who we now should be referring to as terrorists, either kill them or they hold them for ransom. And after some weeks of back and forth and negotiation, government comes out and says that there was no ransom collected and the abductees are released. This is a cycle that we've been going through. There's something, for the lack of a better word, fishy about this cycle that has taken place over and over. And remember, it's not today. This is almost becoming a tired soundbite of the president charging security chiefs from the old set to the new set, go out there and quench this insecurity. So it seems as if, and I don't want to use the word that we're not winning this war anymore because it's now frequent. It's almost safe to say that this is going to happen. When is the next location? Now, from soft targets, they've moved to high-power targets, like we saw last time with the attack on the NDA, of which they killed about 2 people, and then one is yet to be confirmed. However, for me, I put this fully on the breakdown of intelligence. I mean, there's just a complete breakdown in intelligence. I really would figure a day that DSS is more prominent in actually dealing with the security issues of our nation than the way we see them when it has to do with maybe socioeconomic issues that almost rub off as a petty, you understand?
Yeah.
Whereas the real hardcore issues, we don't get to see DSS in action. And when I say DSS, because I'm referring to the intelligence, they have means. Most times, there's a reason why the National Security Advisor is there. He has so much at his beck and call to be able to be not just from a distance, but even on ground. They have personnel. What is really happening? How come there is a free reign of these terrorist attacks? How come at the end of the day we're not able to really um, uh, uh, predetermine what's going to happen? Like for example, would it be wise for anybody to still have their students in school in Kaduna? I mean, the frequency is so high that which school has not been attacked?
All right. Thank you.
It's a state of emergency on education, to be honest. And I think the sooner we are open to that reality, the better. And if we have the will to tackle it.
State of emergency on education, security, health, economy.
Currently, there's a exercise going on with the military in Zamfara State, which we all are aware. It's going to take place within the 2 weeks that they have shut down the telecommunications and most of the economic activities within the states. Now, we don't have details as to what is going on. We believe, based on the few feelers that we're getting, that they're making advances on the terrorist camps, etc. and co. However, how come this is not being done within the state of emergency? What happened to that opportunity? Why hasn't this been translated to other states likewise? Do you really need to shut down? The state of emergency grants you that parental capacity to be able to hold that state within almost a military enclave, and then you go in on the terrorists.
Yeah, but why go after the body when the head is apparently still existing? And if you know, when something starts
You're
rotting,
referring
it
to the
starts
sponsors, right?
Exactly.
Well, we're getting to that in the next stories. We'll hear a bit from other governors.
Katsina State Governor here says, Aminu Masari, he said that with the benefit of hindsight, his government should never have negotiated with bandits, let alone grant them amnesty. The governor of the Northwest States also identified informants as the greatest challenge to the fight against insecurity in that part of the country. Yes, in hindsight, he said while he did not regret his earlier stance, but now when he thinks back, he wishes he never took that route.
Wishes, in his words, I wouldn't have done it. So, I mean, how else do you explain what regret means?
I'm a bit confused myself.
Well, you see, this is another skillful putting together words when you play politics, and that simply means
Sorry about that.
sorry, actions that I took before, I took them based on.
Actionable intelligence. That
Oh,
were
that's a
available.
big word, wow.
Mm.
I took them based on the available information at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really hold the person because the person is confessing that I didn't know any better.
Mm.
How many times have we heard this in various issues in government that have failed? And unfortunately, the governor's interview that he held on the broadcast station was quite telling. And why I say so is because most times, you know how careful we are in the press and how we make, what I call it, informed assumptions on what we believe is happening.
Yes.
And sometimes you're labeled as conjectures, okay? Now, in this instance, we knew what we felt or thought about the actions of government and the position or the body language that most of the state governors took to the breakdown in security. Now, this governor is trying to tell you that almost every feeling that we had about how they went about it was right, and that now, okay, well, the only thing he didn't say was, I'm sorry.
That's actually
Yes.
shy of that.
Yes. Every other thing was, well, okay, fine. And let's start from the beginning. And like I said, we need to be mindful of what is being said. Now, he started by saying that, yes, by the actions that he took by negotiating with bandits
Yeah.
in those days, who we know now as terrorists, by granting them amnesty, which he carried out in those days. I mean, the pictures are all over the internet of how he was trying to talk to a known a terrorist leader at that time. Then he said, based on the information that they now have now, that this wasn't the right act because these terrorists don't act as if they have some kind of, what do you call it, motive or plan or belief. Then he now spoke to the fact that open grazing, that it shouldn't be encouraged, that the only reason why they haven't come out with an open grazing, anti-open grazing law is because you need to put the structures in place for ranching before you now enforce that position. That obviously nobody can go about destroying other people's farms, etc. and co. Now, he said he went on and even said that open grazing shouldn't be encouraged, that it was un-Islamic. Now, at that point, is he really speaking to us? No, he's speaking to his own people
own people,
because
yes.
he's trying to make a connection. And he said one of the greatest challenges was informants, that even when they took actions to address some of the issues of the herdsmen as we know them, that informants were always granting them intel as to what was about to take place, etc. Which is why, in a way, he was endorsing the move in Zamfara. Now, the part I want people to take note of, because we've literally fought this war against terrorism for the past 10 years without names, literally from the high level of the military and top government. No one has been able to sound out, okay, these are the people behind this.
Yes.
Just like you mentioned, the sponsors, etc.
Yes.
And you've been wondering, so what have we been budgeting? Who have we been fighting?
Yes, because if you say thank you so much, Divo, and just aligning with what you're saying, so you're saying you're acting on actionable intelligence that you call big words. I mean, those it's perceived to be information you received from the credible authorities.
Yes.
And
Now,
based
let,
on your
let me
investigation.
bring in your actionable intelligence. Now, Governor Masari then said that, first of all, we know these folks, okay? We've been dealing with them, working with them. They've been living with us for the past 100 years. I mean, this is hardcore intel here.
Yes, it is.
Can I quote what he said exactly? He said, "They are the same people like me who speak the same language, who profess the same religion like me. They are not aliens. So what we have here on ground is banditry."
Remember, for a long time, we were being told that people were coming in from Mali and
Yep.
better from all manner of locations outside, apart from Nigeria, that it was external herdsmen that were causing this. While now, Masari is giving you hardcore. Look,
Hardcore.
we know these people. Now, he went on and said, yes, the majority of them are Fulani, in as much as his own people would not like
He
it.
said, "No, not 100%,
100%.
but they are Fulani."
But the question is, how do you have this level of information? Remember, it's the same way that a certain non-state actor cleric has been speaking, and we've been wondering how come DSS hasn't picked him up. Simply because since you say you don't have info, someone is giving it to you. Now the governor is saying, we know these people. So I ask again, what is really happening? It's not adding up anymore, because at some point here, this governor is simply saying, because obviously for you to have negotiated, for you to remember the time when the Dapchi girls were abducted, and they said, oh, one Swiss company with some international negotiators came to play.
Yes.
But even at that point, the government did not know
Mm.
who the sponsors of. So who did you pay?
Mm.
Who were you talking to?
Why did you make that action if it's not
I'm
based
saying
on
this because
intelligence?
you can't keep slapping logic on its face in this country. There are a lot of things that are questionable that on your own you really wonder what is going on. Well, what I want to ask is not that the governor should be accosted by the DSS, but how come the government is not working with all this information that the governor has spewed out as public information now to bring this war against insecurity
And
down?
why is the said cleric speaking so boldly, almost sounding like he's the speaker or spokesperson of the bandits, without the government taking any action based on that? Does he have some powers, from up above that we know nothing about?
No, I mean that's conjecture too, and I'm not even going to make any conjecture about the non-state actor cleric. Why? Because it's the media that gives him presence. I don't want to hear from him. I want to hear from my elected and constituted authorities what they're doing, what they know.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Devo.
All right, thank you very much, Divo. Interesting point here.
Okay. Please send a message to WhatsApp 0809 444 Devo, the next story from Guardian newspaper reads: You misinterpreted facts on 20 billion naira loan. Bello tells EFCC. That's the Kogi State Governor Yahya Bello. He said the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission misinterpreted facts of the 20 billion naira loan the state took from a new generation bank. And he also said, addressing, if you recall, the Federal High Court in Lagos had ordered the freezing of Kogi State government salary bailout accounts domiciled in a commercial bank over an alleged 20 billion naira loan the state took from it. But he said no Kogi State government salary account is frozen. None of the accounts is frozen or embargo placed on any of the accounts by EFCC at all. I think it's just a misrepresentation of facts or a joke taken too far.
A joke taken too
Strong
far.
words.
Very strong words by our youngest governor. As they say, the lion of the youth. His name is Yahya Bello. Go and find out who he is. He is the Kogi State governor, and he has been coming out with full punches of the recent, we call it assertion, because at this point he is contesting or disputing the facts that the EFCC put out there based on the Federal High Court freezing that took place recently. And he went to visit the presidency to more or less explain himself, saying that he's coming in full integrity, that all these things are happening knowing that the elections are coming, and that Kogi State, knowing that the president, who is very passionate about the war against corruption, that they should not be found wanting. Therefore, that's why he's really defending the facts, putting it out in the public for people to see. Now, we all know that the Federal High Court did freeze Kogi State government salary bailout accounts, okay, which was domiciled at the commercial bank to the tune of 20 billion. And it was alleged from the EFCC that money was misappropriated. Now, apart from now that the governor speaking himself, his Minister of Communication was out there putting the facts. Even the bank itself denied ever having that account, and that the governor was saying that EFCC officers must have misled the commission and the federal government in this position. That's what he was calling a joke taken too far. If you remember, the information ministry from the state had already said that they would be suing the FCC for maligning the sterling reputation of Kogi State. Now, to this effect, he said that nothing of such ever happened, and that there was no bailout account, there was no fixed account, and that all these things that were claimed were not true. The facts were misrepresented. So this article doesn't state what are the proper facts.
Exactly.
That's one.
Yes.
Secondly, in the interview when the press was talking to him, they did ask him that how does he see the new leadership of EFCC? I mean, now that they've come into, in quote, some kind of searchlight. He was like, well, like he said, he's working with the president on the anti-corruption fight, and that he still has faith in the new leadership of Bawa, especially the youthful presence that he wants them to actually deliver on their job. But the truth is, without EFCC's response to what the governor or the State Commission of Information has said, you won't be able to make headway of either whether the governor's grandstanding or literally in all these smokes, yes, that there's facts. So at this point, can we say that there's actually a judicial position that is correct, or there's a political solution being put in the works? Wait to see what the EFCC and the EFCC actually, because they, as they say, if you he that comes with
equity must come with clean hands.
No. That if you're accused, you have to provide the burden of proof so that people can make a concise and proper judgment on what has been said.
All right, very quickly, let's touch on this story from this day newspaper. A former Minister of Aviation, Mr. Osita Chiloka, has asked the President, Muhammadu Buhari, to publish details of the independent review that led to the sack of Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Nanano, and his power counterpart, Engineer Saleh Maman. He said, amongst other things, that first of all, the sack, we should know, the presidential assertion or president's assertion that it was based on independent and critical self-review of a sectoral performance and evaluation, gave the impression that he evaluates the activities of his appointees through independent review and monitoring. But there are no details said. There was no reason even given for the new appointees what merits, they had to bring them back, or to bring them on to replace the sacked ministers. But what are your thoughts regarding his challenge?
Well, another, how do I call it? Checks and balances in government. For every government, you have a shadow government. And basically, that's the parliamentarian or the British form of checking what happens. Now, in this case, a member of the opposition party, that's the former Minister of Aviation, Osita Chiloka, did publish something like a questionnaire to the president, saying that, fine, you sacked 2 ministers based on, you claim that they were, this was based on independent and critical self-review of sectoral performance. And he put a poser or a question to the president saying that this action, that you need to show us actually what that self-evaluation was. What was the result of it? Why? Because you give the impression that you are actually monitoring or supervising. This is high-level rhetoric here. What is he not saying, or what is not being said? Let's read. They say the devil is in between the lines. Literally, he's calling out the president that you are not supervising, and that if you were, not just these 2 ministers, so many other ministers, based on the mandate. Now, he's not just talking. He's saying it's based on the mandate that the APC-led government had put forward to the people, and this is part of what we all citizens should do. We need to monitor, especially the projected goals and targets that they have made with the budget. Remember, the mandate of any party is expressed and delivered in the budget. So there's some things they can achieve and there's some things that they can't. So based on what you claimed, what have you done? Now, let me just put a few of his words. He's saying that Nigerians would like to know the outcome of the assessment of the security agencies, identifying their weaknesses, communicating their plans. 9 out of the priority areas of administration to expand quality education, affordable healthcare, of productivity of Nigerians, to improve security for all. Literally, he's just calling out all the, what do we call it, the marking scheme.
Like metrics of success.
No, marking scheme, something that Nigerians will understand.
All right.
As this government delivers. I think Nigerians, he's using big words. I think Nigerians to understand these things.
No, don't insult the intelligence of our listeners. They understand what you're saying.
Oh, really?
KPIs,
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I thought the masses used to listen to
Of
They
course,
do
the
too.
masses listen to me.
Well, thank you.
All right, we have Uche. You see from Isola saying they are just fooling themselves, or the main problem is with the masses. Do we ask the right questions? Do we demand answers? This comment you just sent to us, you see, is very important.
Yep.
We can speak from now till whenever, and if we're not asking the right questions, or if we're not demanding answers after we ask the questions, then nothing's going to happen. We're just going to keep having these conversations without much progress being made. Let's throw a little highlight on COVID-19, the infection, vaccinated people in Nigeria. Just very quickly to touch this, and we move on to the next. The National Primary Health Care Development Agency, NPHCDA, explains breakthrough infection in vaccinated people in Nigeria. This is in the Guardian newspaper, and basically they're explaining to us why Nigerians, people who have been vaccinated still get infected, but the fact that they still, the symptoms are not as bad. Please speak to this.
Well, the National National Health Care Development Agency, where they've been responsible for the vaccination program, through Dr. Fashil Shua. He's been explaining something that some people have noticed. You know, sometimes as people get vaccinated, yes, it has been found that even despite your vaccination, some people still catch COVID.
Yes.
So the question is, and everybody's wondering, why? Was the vaccination useless? Was it or what? And he's saying that they have, through clinical trials and analysis, confirmed that there's what they refer to as a breakthrough infection. And this breakthrough infection is what takes place that after you've gotten your second shot, okay, for the vaccine to develop full antibodies, it takes about 2 weeks. That same 2 weeks is the same time that COVID can be caught and develop. However, because the difference is because you have taken the vaccine, meaning you have like 50% already in you, the symptoms are not as strong. They're much milder, and you are more or less likely to arrive at a critical state of either getting hospitalized or even death. So they're saying this is still not a reason for people to get discouraged, and that we should all get vaccinated. Now,
Thank you.
he spoke more about the program and how both corporate ministries, they're all getting vaccination arrangements, etc. and co. Well, the truth is, there's a lot of issue around the vaccination program itself. One, two, the efficiency, the availability, the access, which has led to a lot of vaccine resistance, hesitance, and even where we hear the issue of compulsion.
Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much.
Let's look at what's going on in OAU. OAU, that's your Bafemi Awolowo University, dismisses lecturer over sexual harassment of students. These are the kind of headlines we like to see, Divo. Please take us through the details of how the governing council of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, on Tuesday announced the dismissal of a lecturer, Dr. Adebayo Moshobolaje, of the Department of English Language, Faculty of Arts, over sexual harassment of a female student.
Yes, well, this is what is coming out from the Public Relations Department, and they said that after the investigation and the case taken by the Joint Committee, the Council of State, since the university unambiguously declared a zero tolerance for sexual harassment in any form of guise, has applied appropriate sanctions for anyone who has been caught in this level. Now, this recently, if you remember last time, you did have its issues, and then more or less, I think they strengthened their position on it. Well, they had dismissed the lecturer. Now, my issue here is fine, they have taken a step, okay? However, the story is almost incomplete because you know that when it has to do sexual harassment, it's good to hear the other side.
Yes.
One. Secondly, I don't think it's enough for just the faculty to be dismissed. I think the university needs to take the ultimate step to prosecute. And why I say this is because you are acting in the interest of the school.
Victims and the victims.
Yes, and the victim. Well, because it's an institution, the as far as they go may be limited. However, you know how they say you need to put capital punishment in place to send a strong signal that in no way and form will this be tolerated.
Right.
So it's not as if, okay, fine, you dismiss me from one school, I end up in another, as in some cases we've seen with the Minister of Education. If you remember the case of Queen's College, after all that brouhaha went down, they simply just redeployed the management from one Queen's school to another school.
Yeah.
So what's the point? What have you really solved?
Yeah.
You've sent the demon from one place to another.
Right.
So I really think they need to go much further because Nigeria as a whole, we're still battling the appreciation and proper addressing of sexual harassment or sexual violence against both male and female in our society as a whole.
I love it. Send a strong message. So beyond dismissal, we're looking for a prosecution, and if found guilty, a sentencing. Let's quickly touch on this. Today's World Literacy Day, and I don't know if Premium Times did this report to coincide with this, but it's a beautiful coincidence. Kano, Akwa Ibom, 8 other states housed most of Nigeria's out-of-school children. It's a very detailed report, very long, but I think it's worth reading in terms of the numbers and the mapping of out-of-school children, even broken down into sex, so male and female. The data was published by the National Bureau of Statistics in its 2020 report on women and men. It shows that a quarter of Nigeria's 40.8 million school-age children were not attending primary education. That's still about 10 million Nigerian children.
Yes, what I want to add to this is most times, like I said, we don't read the nation. However, there's an implication to these statistics and data. When you have this large number of children out of school, I mean, At the last count, there's about 12 million, which is almost the whole country in other terms.
Yeah.
What it means is that there is a generation, okay, growing that can become anything because we haven't put anything sensible in their heads. So when you look at how fast insurgents are being recruited, at how would they say, catching them young, when you look at how miscreants and hoodlums are being grown, it's literally from not catering to them at this point, okay? Now, the question is, what are we doing? What actions are being taken place? Remember, our president went for a conference in the UK,
Yes.
made some promises about increasing the south or the downward investment in education.
Mhm.
So when we produce information like this, if we're not taking any action, it just simply means we have not just the time bomb has exploded because there are more coming. Remember, our birth rate is 5 kids to 1 girl
Yeah.
in Nigeria. So this number definitely is on the increase.
All right, thank you very much, Divo. Final comment from Barrister Dan Okudwa from Uganda saying, if Masari knows these people, what is stopping him from arresting and prosecuting the so-called bandits? Something is not adding up here.
True.
All right, thank you all very much for being a part of the conversation, and thanks to you, Divo, for analyzing the stories. Take on more analysis, but this time from you, from 8-10 a.m. during Lagos Talks 981. We'll open the phone lines there to get your thoughts on the stories.
The headlines.
Thank you, Divo.
Thank you.